Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Daze and welcome to this controversial video. And it is controversial because we're kicking up the dust and we're talking about least favorites. And honestly, this is not something that I expected to do, but I looked at all the options for an opinions video and this one just felt like the most exciting. All the others are like, how would you book this? What do you think about this? They're all very safe. I don't want to be safe. I want to kick up the dust a little bit, right? But hopefully in a constructive way, in a way where we're not just moaning and complaining and whatever, but we're actually saying this is what we're not keen on, this is what we would change, this is how we would change it, so on, so on, so on. And I always like to start with my thoughts, and I'm not gonna like hide on this one. I'm not gonna just not say anything, right? I'm gonna give you my answer, and it's Joe Hendry, right? Now, if you watch NXT, this won't be a surprise, right? Joe Hendry to me is fine, but it's a joke that I'm not in on, right? It's a joke. It's a party I don't feel invited to. And that's as much my fault as it is theirs, right? It's probably more mine, but I just can't find a way in, right? I see the people waving their hands. I see the people singing along with the songs. If you don't find something funny, you just don't find it funny. I just don't feel like I'm on the bandwagon. I feel like the train has left the station on this one for me. And so I'm just sort of watching it sort of mystified, really. But, again, being constructive, I feel like that's my fault. Like, I should find a way of making this work. I should find a way of enjoying it. And I also think had it have started in NXT, I think I would be on board with it. If I'd have seen Joe Hendry try and fail loads of times, or, you know, a few times, and then get this gimmick, I would probably be like, that's it, you found it. I'd be a lot more on board with him, but I've not seen any of that. I've not seen any of that. Is that NXT's fault for not, you know, kind of showing me the backstory of Joe Hendry? I mean, the guy's going for the NXT championship. I don't feel like I know anything about him. Like, the booking is pretty strange on this one. It feels like the guy is a meme and we're just trying to strike whilst it's hot. But that has meant that we haven't really done any groundwork. So, yeah, that's mine. And I've kind of hopefully presented my criticisms in a constructive manner there, right? But what are yours? Right, what are yours? Let's start here with Riddick, who says Seth Rollins, which is kind of interesting. So Seth Rollins, he was once one of my top favorites in the modern era, but these days I just can't stand watching him. Yes, it's 100% the gimmick. It was fun for a while, but now it's just awful to watch. The ridiculous clothes, the annoying voice and laugh. I just can't take him seriously anymore. He's one of the best when the bell rings, but the gimmick kills the vibe before he even starts. Once in a while, he'll show hints of that serious Rollins, then fall right back into this clown show routine. I want the architect, not Becky's personal home wardrobe experiment. Wow, tell me how you really feel, right? Do you know, I'm not going to disagree there with Seth. I mean, I love Seth because, you know, Shields, Monday Night Rollins, heist of the century. I mean, he's built up enough in the bank for me where I just can't, right? I can't not like him. But I think I look at Seth and I wonder what he's trying to achieve. I feel like Roman is the headline act, yeah? Roman is the man. Roman is the guy of this generation. So that means that Seth is the Macho Man. Like how Hogan was the guy, you had Macho Man. And I sort of feel like if you look at Macho Man, he had all these bright robes and like really tried to turn up his presentation, right? Like, I'm here as well, don't forget about me kind of a thing. And I feel like Seth might have gone a bit down that road. But the problem is Macho Man was always cool. Like his outfits were outlandish, but they looked cool. Like, his WrestleMania 7 attire is iconic, right? Obviously, they've made figures on it. His WrestleMania 3 attire with the robes, just amazing. It's one of my favorite figures, the WrestleMania 3 one, right? So, those looks are... I mean, when he wore gold, all gold, I think there was that WrestleMania 8. when he was in all the gold attire. It looked classy. And the tassels and everything, it just looks so good. Whereas with Seth, he comes out with these big kind of, costumes that look ridiculous. So yeah, I think we might get Seth a few times here. I do see where you're coming from. I wish he looked outlandish, but in a cool way. I wish he still looked cool. I think he's just got that a bit wrong. So, but who knows? Maybe time will judge him better. Perhaps like us in the moment are looking at him going, but, in the future, people will look back and enjoy Seth for what he was, Bia said Jacob Fatu. I didn't expect that. Jacob Fatu, he is a true bad you-know-what. Yes. But does that make him your least favorite wrestler? Because he's a bad mother. That makes him your least favorite wrestler. Right now, he's right near the top for me. I think you might have read who is your favorite. I think you might have not read that word there. That's my guess. Just a guess. Aaron said, I've got to say, for the last 3 years, Seth Rollins, when he comes out, I'm like, you were the guy that won the main event of WrestleMania 31, and you had an amazing 2018. Roman and Punk buried the character this year. He had no comeback. Hopefully, when he returns, it's better. TJF said, I'm probably going to say Roman, as he is hyped as a babyface at the moment. And as the past few years have shown, he's a bad babyface. Let him stay heel. Heel versus heel with Solo. We stuck in the gen where it's always heel versus face. People still like heel versus heel. It's whoever you hate more. Same with Kevin versus Cody, face versus face. It can work. We don't need the produce deciding who we should like. Let them be what they want to be and give us the best version of themselves. Let us decide, said TJF. That's interesting. That's an interesting angle. Jay Villa said, Carmelo Hayes. Oh, I just can't connect with his current character. It feels like something's missing. He looks good in the ring, but I just can't get on board with his current character. Chris says, Rhea Ripley. Why? Because she is nothing compared to Liv. Deez Rebel said, I don't like to post negative about wrestlers. I know, but we're kicking up the dust. We're causing a little bit of anarchy. And for this one time, it's okay. I just can't connect with Theory and Grayson Waller. Theory has everything but no personality. Nia was like that, but since she's come back, she's vastly improved. Maybe the fun Theory is better, although I've never seen that side. I think that's fair. To be truthful with you, though, I like Theory a lot. I think he showed a lot of personality down in NXT when he was a fun heel. I think when he was a face, I don't remember like great promos or anything, but I just remember his matches being better. Like, I think some people work matches better as faces. Some people sell really well and like make the comeback really well. And I think he works matches better as a face. And I think he's a natural face. To be honest, I feel like he's, I don't want to say a bit of a goofy kid. Like, I'm sure he has matured, but he's always come across as a bit of a joker, a bit of a kind of fun-loving guy. I just really struggle with this heel persona for him. I think switch him face and let's have a good look and see how, it feels. So hopefully that'll change for you, Deez Rebel. Hopefully that'll change. NWL Ninja Jelly said Grayson Waller because he talks too much, and I'm gonna have to say Logan Paul because he couldn't win without help. Do you know what? I didn't even think about Logan Paul. Uncle Revel says Karrion Kross. His intro always got my attention as a big supernatural style badass. Then the match starts and he's just a guy. He's an okay wrestler, but nothing stood out for me. Never has, except Scarlett. Oh. I'd say check out his promos. I've always been impressed with his promos. Very passionate. with his promos. And another thing I would say about him is when he does like Raw talk or something, he is one of the only wrestlers I've ever seen that actually says something significant in those segments. Normally on Raw talk, it's just a load of waffle because they know no one's really watching. But Karrion actually uses that time to say something and really, like, you know, further his story. I feel like he's constantly fighting for attention and for opportunity, and he's constantly working. And, you know, give him a minute, he'll try and make the most out of that minute. Give him 5 minutes, he'll try to make the most out of that. You need him to do this, he'll do this. You need to do that, he'll do that. You need him to wear weird, kinky gladiator gear, he'll do it, right? You need him to be in Final Testament, fine. It's going to be a bit of a joke match at WrestleMania, okay. I feel like he gets the short end of the stick a lot. I'd love to see him with some proper creative. I think him being involved with the New Day splitting up's been interesting, but it's not really about him. So it would be good for him to be in a proper feuds. Him and CM Punk, I'd love to see that. Let's have a look. Let's see what it looks like. Bam Bam says, Carmelo Hayes, in all honesty, I didn't like the push they tried to give him, especially after he almost ended up injuring Austin Theory in his first match on SmackDown before he was drafted. It was a pretty serious botch, and they just covered it by sending him back to NXT. Interesting. Daniel said, Nia Jax, really don't get anything from her at all. I am praying for a Tiff cash in. Plus, Jax looks so bored all the time. It's like, why should I care? Makeshita, is that how you pronounce it? Says, I'll probably get lambasted. Oh, lovely words. Oh, you won't get lambasted for using the word lambasted. I'll probably get lambasted for this, but Charlotte Flair, I think she was handed everything because of her surname. She was so green for so long, but everyone praised her. And Logan Paul, no explanation needed for that one. I think the door was opened for Charlotte. But I think she has been very athletic. I think she has put the work in. Does she deserve the level of success that she got? Maybe not. But I think that she is someone that even if she'd have gone to NXT of her own accords, I think she would have made it. Even if she wasn't Ric Flair's daughter. Because I think she is very agile, athletic, great moonsault, cartwheels. She's got that kind of gymnastics kind of base, which does so well in NXT these days. Feels like all the girls do gymnastics these days. But Charlotte was, you know, sort of doing it whilst we were still plucking indie talent from the indie scene. She kind of brought that instead rather than a big indie career. I think she'd been doing a lot of, like, was it personal training and fitness and stuff like that. So I feel like she did bring stuff. But yeah, she lacked kind of that wrestling knowledge, if you will. I mean, she'd seen tons of matches. Her dad was Ric Flair, but she didn't have the experience. So I don't know that it took her all that long personally to pick it up. I think she gets a bit of a rough ride because of her name. For me, that was shook off a long time ago. A long time ago. But maybe not for you. I like your explanation. No lambasting. I think you did a very good job of explaining your position. Wrestling Tony said Solo because he do the same and he lose on pay-per-view. Oh, look at this. Jim said Charlotte Flair. Unbelievable talent, but the inevitable returns do nothing for the women's division. It doesn't matter how hard the talent worked to get over while she's away. As soon as the Queen returns, she jumps to the head of the queue. It sucks. Bad booking, so it's not really her fault, says Jim. Daddy says Zoey Stark. I feel like they've put her in PFC to try and get more aura as a heel and more of a reaction per se. But overall skills like promo cutting and presenting herself need some work. She's not bad in the ring, but I've got a hard time liking her. I just don't know what her gimmick is. I don't know what a gimmick is. I don't know what she's meant to be. I think there's too many people that you can kind of say that about, and she's definitely one. Like, what is she meant to be? She's just meant to be Zoey Stark, but who's Zoey Stark? Like, she's clearly quite muscular. She likes working out and everything, but I don't know. I just always feel like there's going to be stronger girls, bigger girls, better in-ring technicians, people with bigger personalities. Like, how does a Zoey Stark stand out? And that hopefully is a question she's asking herself as well. How does a Zoey Stark stand out? But then, you know, you can ask that of a lot of people, can't you? But it's just, yeah, there's always going to be someone taller, always going to be someone faster, always going to be someone better on the mic, better in the ring, better gimmick, better name, better entrance, you know? She does feel very middle of the road. I don't disagree with that. Good talent. I mean, I think she's a good hand. It's just literally creative. What you got? What you got? What can you do for her? That's how it sort of feels to me. Paradigm Shift said, as of right now, CM Punk, wow. It's not because of the AEW stuff. That is kind of a reason. But he just can't go anymore. His return was cool. He comes back and then he got injured in a match where all you have to do is lay in the corner for 3/4 of the time. The match with Drew sucked too. Well, I love Punk personally. I'm really pleased that he's back, but I get your commentary. I completely get where you're coming from. I think I need to see a few more matches to know if he can still go or not, because I did really enjoy his match with Samoa Joe, his last match with AEW. So I'm kind of holding on to that as an example that he can still go. And I just think Seth got in the way in the SummerSlam match personally. But yeah, we'll see once we get a few more matches. Foxy, shout out to you, said Santos Escobar. I always go and make a cuppa or wash up if he's on my screen. Matt says Logan Paul, I guess. Yeah, I'm surprised we're not getting more Logan Pauls, actually. I'm surprised I didn't say Logan Paul. It's hard to be constructive, though. He can't change his past. I think his in-ring work is great, and his character is the perfect chicken shiz heel. He uses YouTubers I've never heard of to cheat. I doubt that a face run would ever work. I like Jake less. YNWALFC said, honestly, I like almost everyone. I can't think of anyone except JD. I just don't like him. Adds nothing to Judgment Day. Good for being a punching bag for the Terror Twins. I don't really see anything interesting about him. Ian said, currently with WWE, male, the Temu Tribal Chief Solo Sikoa. I didn't think it could get worse than he was before he became Temu Chief. I like Temu Chief. Female, Zoey Stark, Shayna Baszler, equally terrible. If WWE was a farm, one would have been taken to a field and shot by now. Hashtag boring. Bailey said currently Jade Cargill. Oh, first Jade Cargill. And Tonga Loa. All they do is botch and they're just boring. But of all time, Goldberg, because he can't wrestle yet. Vince let him squash everyone for no reason and made him take the title from everyone. I know it wasn't his choice to do that. Well, Goldberg, I think, is a good shout, to be honest. I don't know that he's still on the active roster, though, but you did put Jade Cargill and Tonga Loa as well. So I think you've covered every base there, Bailey. Minnie said, I doubt anyone will say this, but Kiana James. Wow. Yeah, you might be alone on that because we just don't see her. Didn't have the best NXT run. They brought her up and have done nothing with her. It feels like a lot of people have completely forgotten about her too. It's probably just booking, but I also haven't been amazed at her ring skills. Do you know, I wouldn't disagree with that, but I went to a house show. I've told this story before, to an NXT house show, and I was so impressed with her. I mean, she was in there with, you know, a few other women. It was a tag match, so it wasn't just a one-on-one match. So she was on the outside of the ring a bit, but she was so animated. Like all the other girls just going through the motions. She's the one banging her leg on the thing, like, you know, talking trash to the crowd. Like, honestly, in that match, if you'd have looked at everyone that was in the ring and went, who's the superstar, you would have pointed at Kiana James. She just shone. She just absolutely shone. Everyone else was just going through the motions. I know it's NXT talent, so, you know, if she's going to get called up, she should shine. I know it's a low bar, but it really made me look at her a different way. It really made me... I remember distinctly looking at her after that house show going, I think you can make it, you know. I think you strike me as a star. I did not know that literally like a few weeks later she'd be called up in a draft. Did not know that, right? But yeah, I feel sorry for her with the booking and everything. Obviously, we just have to see how she does. But I'm rooting for her. I wish her all the best. Ash said, I'm not the biggest fan of Seth. Another one for Seth. I think for me, it's just his whole gimmick. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I think he's a great wrestler, but I'd love to see a change up for him. Wicked6 said, I don't know if a tag team counts. They definitely do. But it's definitely AOP. I never understood why WWE brought them back. I feel they have negative aura. Their in-ring work is lacking badly, especially strikes. They've never had a good run. I suppose the hope was this would be the good run, you know? I suppose that was the hope. But, yeah, not doing it so far. Babs the Barbarian said, all-time favourite is Sting, but there's so many I cheer for. I'd go Roman Seth. Have you done what happened earlier and you've gone with favourite rather than least favourite? I feel like that's understandable because we just don't ever talk about like this kind of negative stuff. I'm sure you've noticed I'm trying to put a positive spin on things, keep it light, not get too down in the mud and the dirt. But yeah, we are being cheeky monkeys. We are kicking up the dirt a little on this one. That's all right. That's all right. El Patata said, Bianca Bella, she takes all the spotlight, counters every move, does the same taunt on the second rope and backflip every time. If she lost matches and wasn't always protected, I'd be okay. Else, she's good. Best women's match since long is her against Io, says El Patata. Sam's on wrestling. I want to try and get through all of these. Says, all-time Del Rio. Average worker, talker, recycled gimmick, stomp finisher, was shocking, not a very nice person, got given way too much, and at the worst time with the Summer of Punk. JBL close for almost the exact reasons, but at least was a decent promo, had 9-month awful reign. Well, I'd like to have known what your least favourite is now, but I'll take all time. Faddy said, Pure Fusion Collective, I turn off the channel. Wrestling News Circle said Karrion Kross, he is ridiculously boring. He needs to go back to NXT and go back to his gimmick that he had in 2021 because this is at the point the only thing that would make me care about him. Kuazimoto said wrestler Jacob Fatu, entertainer the entire Wyatt Six. Have you read Least? I feel like this is catching a few people out. I'm struggling to believe Jacob would be anyone's least favourite.